nobody? Who are you? Are you nobody too? You know, hope's a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here at Midday at Montauk, and we're here to interview Dr. Denise Nichols. How are you today, Doctor?
How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. A lot of our viewers wish to know about the relationships that have developed in your boarding house over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of folderol and talk over the new play that Bonnie and Ellen have written, which is a huge success, by the way. And I would like to know your feelings on the various residents of your apartment, and what are your views on the events that actually took place.
Well, it's an unusual phenomenon. It was just a conglomeration of, I suppose, the right people at the right time. Bonnie and Ellen had just come off of a really challenging experience, and they needed to be among people who were sensitive to their needs and could benefit from what they had to offer. And this is actually what happened. It was the music that Bonnie and Ellen created that filtered into the lives of the people in the complex and actually created change.
An interesting comment about the music. One of the hit songs out of this production is a song entitled "I'm Nobody, Who Are You?" Now let me ask you that question. I am nobody. Would you tell me who are you, as far as your credentials go and your background goes, so that our audience can understand your qualifications to even discuss this?
Well, I have been with
That's right. I imagine the psychologist has a lot on their mind and numerous patients to deal with, and I certainly don't want you to violate any of the rules of confidentiality. Right, but let's go on and put that question aside for a while and talk about some of the other residents of the building. For example, Rob, Renee, the Tupperware lady, who has really developed quite a following these days. Now, I've met her, and I can certainly understand why everybody just falls in love with her. How did you meet Rob and Renee? And tell us about the circumstances in their lives.
Well, it was really quite tragic. Rob lost his wife, and it was allegedly suicide, and they have a small child, and I'm not sure if it happened before his eyes, and if it did, I'd very much like to treat him. I know he needs treatment, and I know he's not getting treatment, and I question that. Some people just have a stigma when it comes to going to a psychiatrist, and they just can't get past it, even for the sake of a child who is possibly in a desperate state. And frankly, every time I see the child, it disturbs me.
Okay, now let's talk about Renee, the Tupperware lady.
Yes, the temporary lady. Well, I wouldn't say she's a lady. I'd say she's a gal.
Well, she's certainly one of the gals, as I've spoken to some of the toughs that hang out on the street corner, and they just are enamored with her no matter...
You know what? She's a damn good person.
That's all that matters, I understand.
She is a darn good person. And I invite anyone to say otherwise.
Well, what aspects of her masculine side... and her
She doesn't
masculine
have
life,
Doesn't have one.
Doesn't have one, huh?
Doesn't have a masculine side at all. I haven't seen it. I've got a more masculine side than she does.
Well, she was indeed
The
married.
man is a woman.
She was indeed
I
married
have
for a
never
while.
seen such an example of someone trapped in a woman's body.
Okay. Now, not to get personal, I do realize that this will be a rather personal question. I do hope you
Well, I may
excuse
not
me.
answer it.
Well, I will certainly understand, but I know that our viewers are extremely interested in knowing about your relation with Lanya, the belly dancer. Now, I know that she has moved in with you, and you are happily carrying on a relationship, I assume. But would you tell, what brought Lanya into your life in the first place?
Happily carrying on would not at all be how I would describe it. No. I am treating Lanya. Lanya was in dire need of treatment. She came to me. I started to treat her. It just so happened that in the time that I was treating her, she lost her apartment. We are in the process of trying to get her Section 8. We are not happily, whatever you call it. She is my patient. And that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry, please don't misunderstand me. I certainly in no way wish to smudge your integrity as a psychiatrist. How truly fortunate she is to have someone that is there for her 24/7 and capable of treating her on a nightly basis.
Well, I feel that you are editorializing a bit, and you are leading the viewing audience to assume that there is some sort of relationship going on between us, and there is not.
No,
and I don't appreciate it.
No, I apologize. Please do not misunderstand me. It's just, you know, I mean, I understand that a girl who has problems, from my understanding that she has, it's my understanding that...
I knew this would happen when I took her in.
No, please, we would like to...
I knew it. What, was I supposed to let her out on the street?
No, of course not. Certainly not. She might be a danger to herself and society. Our research...
But I had to ask myself, let her on the street or take her in and withstand this kind of aspersion?
Well, I personally think it's a wonderful thing that you have done, because oh, absolutely, because our references and records tell us that she is suffering, although I'm not a psychiatrist, from a delusion that she has lived past life experiences and that she was
That is not a
hooker
delusion.
in
Not
Sodom and
a
Gomorrah.
delusion, not a delusion, not a delusion.
So then she was a hooker in Sodom and Gomorrah.
That is not what she's suffering from. Yeah, that's not her problem. Her mother was a bitch. She was a whore in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Do your research.
Well, I can only, I have to depend on professionals like yourself to provide me with answers that not only I, but our viewers do need to know and do want to know. We're working under a grad. This is educational television. You know, we're supported by the government. We wish to make it as educational as
Well,
possible.
let's educate and not, you know, give them Inquirer type sound bit bites.
I apologize. Please do not misunderstand. We wish to provide the facts to our viewers who are interested. Okay. Would you give me the facts about Kachondo?
Ah, yes. Kachondo. Lovely girl. Lovely girl. Well, you know what she does for a living. I frankly don't think it defines her. I don't, you know, the fact that she's a dominatrix by trade, it really doesn't fit her character. As far I think she should be gardening or something like that. I really don't see her. I'm sure she's able to put on the act. She puts on the boots. She does the act. She makes a decent living. She's able to pay the rent on time. She's a pretty clean liver. I don't know if she's got a clean liver, but
that is very good, doctor.
Okay. Well, I like to make a joke now and then. And she's a lovely girl, and I do frankly hope that someday she can get out of that business. I think she's very intelligent and capable of a lot more. I think certainly she can marry someone and torture them for money.
Well, it is our understanding that she has found a new love interest in her life. That love interest, of course, being Harry the mailman.
Oh, it is dear. It is just dear to see them together. And, you know, Harry actually, I think, would like to be dominated. You know, I think any mailman is somewhat of a oh darn, what's that word? Not a, you know, when you like to hurt yourself.
A masochist.
Thank you. Oh my, I better bone up. I think Harry, as I was saying, anyone who works at the post office, as evidenced by all these postal people going postal or ballistic and having these episodes, one does wonder why the post office elicits such violent responses from its employees. One really has to wonder. It's something I was considering doing a thesis on. And then I met Harry. And he's such a dear little guy, but really, really downtrodden. But he sees Kachanga in her boots and her outfit, and he just goes nuts. And I know he would love to have a session with her, but she refuses to do it. You know, she just won't mix work with pleasure.
That's a laudable idea on her
Well,
part.
she's an upstanding citizen. She knows what she's doing, and you know, you have to cut it off. So I wonder, well, not literally, but I wonder what their relationship is going to end up like, you know.
Well,
and he's so small next to her, especially when she's wearing those spike heels. It's just dear.
We did try to interview Harry. Unfortunately, he wasn't there when I left. I'm told that he arrived after we left, and we do have some footage of him speaking to Bonnie. But tell me, as a professional, do you think it might be a good change in post office policy to hire a larger number of dominatrixes within the postal system?
Well, that is an intriguing question. In other words, rather than having masochists, so to have strong, well, actually, have you been to the post office lately?
No, I tend to stay out of there as much as possible because...
As well you should, because I have noticed that most of the postal workers behind the counter, I'm not talking about the deliverers. I think there's a difference. This would go in my thesis. I think the deliverers are the masochists, and the people who work behind the counter, the handlers, are the
sadists.
The sadists, exactly. They're extremely cruel and short and abrupt, angry. They're full of hostility, and many of them have a power complex, I've observed. It's the deliverers who are the lackeys. It's very interesting. It's almost got this S&M dynamic.
So you believe
service.
that the solution to this would be perhaps not only in the postal service but in government and in life, that whenever you have a masochist and a sadist, you should put a dominatrix in between them and form that triangular balance.
I didn't say that at all. No,
I'm sorry.
I think, well, this is a theory that you're sort of, well, it's interesting. Would you expound on that?
Well, if you have a sadist on one side of the counter
Yes,
and a
yes.
masochist on the other side of the
Yes.
counter, it seems to me that if you laid a dominatrix in between them, you would have a nice triangular balance with the dominatrix maintaining control and perspective. See, whenever you have just two things, all you can have is conflict. Whereas if you add a third party, then you have perspective, and that perspective can shift. Right? And of course,
But isn't a dominatrix considered a sadist? Isn't the dominatrix playing the sadist role?
No, not necessarily.
I think I've got to put some quarters in the meter.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's time for us to take a commercial break. So if the audience would just stay there, we'll be back in a little while and we'll continue this fascinating interview
I'm intrigued.
with Dr. Nichols. All right?
So.
Thank you.
I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? You know, hope's a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words.